The Town of St. John Plan Commission regular meeting for June 19th, 2024. First, I would invite all that can stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get roll call, please?
Joe Gomez-Stagel.
Present.
Pete Kleideris is currently absent. John Gill.
Here.
Bob Valoy.
Here.
Russ Vogel will be absent. Justin Nestor.
Present.
Colin Entschway.
Present.
Adam Decker.
Present.
John Dykstra.
Here.
Bill Menesopoulos.
Here.
Ashley Abernathy, present.
Agenda item number 4, election of officer for secretary.
I'll make a motion to nominate Russ Vogel for secretary.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Vloy. Any comments, questions on the motion? There being none, all in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 5A is the approval of the May 15th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. I assume everybody's had the chance to review them. Any questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 15th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Emschway. Any further comments, discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Item B, June 5th, 2024 study session minutes. I assume everybody's had the chance to review them. Any questions, comments, concerns? Would entertain a
I
motion.
entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Mr. Gomestegel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Emschway. Any further comments, questions, discussions on the motion? If not, all in favor so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Agenda item number 6, we have 3 public hearings tonight. First is item A, 2024-06 Franciscan Alliance Incorporated proposed preliminary plat of Franciscan Health St. John Medical Center located on the east side of US Highway 41, approximately 975 feet south of the intersection of 101st Place and US Highway 41, zoned C2, highway commercial. Mr. Weiser, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. As this matter's pended for some time, so we're all pretty familiar with it. If you'll recall, in May, Mr. Dykstra was able to, not able, but had been reviewing all of our submissions in order to qualify for getting our primary plat, and issued a letter saying that everything was in order from his perspective, but that still left the issue of the water main, the 12-inch water main. And as I understand it, I've got an email here, but as I understand it, that issue's been resolved. We are going to install that off-site water main down 41, replace the existing water main that I guess is 40-plus years old, and we're going to and that's at our expense, and we're going to replace that. And we got Bob signed off in an email to us. So, having resolved that issue, I think we're where we want to be in order to seek a final approval this evening for primary plat. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding it.
Questions, comments from the panel? Bob, you're satisfied?
I am satisfied, yes.
Okay. Mr. Dykstra, any unresolved engineering issues? I know with the study session, you mentioned there was some other...
Just some, they're not contingencies, just follow-up conditional items. As soon as they receive certain documentation, they would...
Certain approvals
they'll
they'll need to
provide
go
that,
in
yeah.
the process.
Like NDOT.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just that.
That understood.
Okay. Just making sure we had that all tied up. Questions, comments? Anybody?
Is the 12-inch water main, has that been documented in the...
So
and I'll jump in there. I was talking with Jim, or if the board here decides to approve it, it'll be contingent on Jim and I getting paperwork on our agreement.
Correct. That we still have to do that, and Bob, it's probably going to your question about we need to reflect that on the plans, and we will.
Okay. With that, we are still in a public hearing. Mr. Decker, I assume we need to make sure there's no one who, if anyone wants to come up for public comment.
You may open the floor if there's anyone who wishes to speak, and then you may close public hearing.
Just to make sure we don't have anybody here, so
Sure.
we'll let you come back up in a minute.
Okay.
I think it'll be quick. Okay, with that, and any of the other public hearings that we have tonight, any members of the public who would like to come up and speak, either for or against any of the proposals that are up that day, or that are up today, I'm sorry, you are more than welcome to. We just ask that you state your name and address for the record, and then just limit your comments to the public hearing that's at issue, the one that's up right there. Bless you. There have been some comments on this already, so I'll give anybody the chance who wants to come up. Going once. Second call. Okay, third and final call for public comment. So public comment on 2024-06 is now closed. Mr. Weezer, you're welcome to come back up. And with that, with the comments from the board, I think at this point, if there's no other questions or concerns that anybody on the commission has, I would entertain a motion. Well, it'd be a favorable recommendation, unfavorable recommendation. No?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Chair, this will be a vote to approve or not approve a primary plat of the subdivision.
Just approve or not
This is not referred
approve?
to the town council.
Okay. So, with that, motion to approve or not approved in referencing the findings. Contingent, I'm sorry, the one last thing would be contingent on the resolution of the water main issue.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve proposed primary plat contingent upon the water main resolution.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Valoy, second by Mr. Gomsegel. Is there any further comments, questions? If not, all those in favor so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Great,
And motion carries 5-0.
great. Thank you very much. And Bill, I'll be giving you a call. We'll get together. Okay, thanks.
With that, public hearing on 2024-06 Franciscan Alliance is now closed. Agenda item 6B, 2024-07 The Grove, proposed rezoned to PUD for a proposed mixed-use development, single-family, multifamily homes, 8408 West 101st Avenue, St. John, Indiana, intersection of Park Place and 101st Avenue on the north side of 101st Avenue, zoned open space. Olthoff Homes. Mr. Pasco, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Kevin Pasco here with Ed Rectenwall of Olthoff Homes, 8051 Wicker Avenue, St. John, Indiana. Here tonight for our second PUD rezone hearing and eighth meeting overall to seek a recommendation to the Town Council for the Grove. Previously, we were at the May 15th meeting to open up the public hearing to get comments, where we ultimately received a deferral. We haven't had any new changes between the study session and today's meeting, so we'll really just move into questions or comments and open up the public hearing once again.
Any questions, comments from the panel? Excuse me. Okay. With that, we'll reopen public comment on 2024-07 The Grove. If there's any members of the public who would like to come forward, you are more than welcome to do so at this point. You just need your name and address for the record, please.
Carmen Schaefer, 9220 96th Place. I live in the Renaissance. I was here last time. Again, I have such a huge concern about all these houses crammed in such a small space, and we already have an infrastructure issue in St. John where the traffic is ridiculous. We've got issues, and you guys might not think so, we already have issues in the schools exploding. My kids go to the public school. they tell me already, the schools are just crammed as it is. And you're adding to it this, and then all the other developments that are coming into St. John. And you're going to add to it, and then you're adding in the paired cottages, the mixed homes. I mean, what kind of homes are we going to have? I'm just incredibly concerned with this. And then they don't change anything with the amount of public comment from last time around that were incredibly negative. So he comes in, he's like, no changes. That was incredibly concerning to me, that he comes back a month later and no changes. And I'm begging you, you guys are the ones that can make a change to stop this from happening. And you guys are here to fight for the people of St. John. So, please, help us out.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane. My comments are basically the same as the last public hearing. This property, or this project is way too dense. We do not need duplexes in this area. We do not need 60-foot, single-family wide lots. We do not need houses that are 90-95% vinyl siding. We need perimeter road improvements to be done. I haven't heard anything about that. Years ago, you could do anything you wanted in the floodplain. You could build no matter what. Now there's rules and regulations to keep you out of the floodplain. This developer, when he purchased the property, I'm sure he had everything surveyed. He knew exactly how much floodplain was on that property. I'll guarantee you, he did not pay full price for that property, for the floodplain property. So he already knew what he could build on. So I guess why are you giving him this much more density? Because there's floodplain on the property. Doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who would like to come forward? Going once. Second call for any public comment. Third and final call for public comment on 2024-07 The Grove. Public comment is now closed. Mr. Pascal?
Okay. In terms of some of those comments that we just received, I know a handful of those we did kind of have a response for at the May 15th meeting. For instance, for infrastructure improvements, again, we committed to last meeting full frontage improvements on 101st. So any reconstruction or widening that might be required of that area, installation of storm sewer along the entire frontage. We're also proposing a XL-decel lane at our entrance as well. So we're doing all of the improvements that are required of us based on the codes and ordinances of the town, and that will be in full compliance with the 2018 road impact fee study as well. Additionally, we will contribute approximately $1.07 million in road impact fees over the course of the lifetime of this project, as well as $566,000 in park impact fees along with that. So we will be contributing to not only the road infrastructure directly out front of this project, but obviously all of those road impact fee dollars can be used for other capital projects as the town wishes. Traffic kind of goes along with that as well. We're doing everything that we can with the frontage and the right-of-way that we control. Anything outside of that, again, that would be more of a policy call on the town council level or some other board in terms of what kind of capital projects they would like to take on with various funding sources, whether that's TIF dollars, road impact fees, or grant money. With the schools, I have been in consistent contact with Lake Central School Corporation and have a letter as part of our PUD development plan stating that they do have capacity at their schools to take on any additional students that will be added on as a result of this project. And I've been assured that their largest classes that they've had right now have been moving through and graduating in the last couple of years, so it's going to be freeing up the lower level schools, and they're also expanding, I think, 1 or 2 of their elementary schools as well, so they are also reacting to the development that's going on around here. In terms of mixed products, that's something that I addressed at probably our first 1 or 2 meetings in terms of showing how it related to the comprehensive plan and how the comprehensive plan specifically calls out having a mix of housing products to address, growing and changing needs of people who live within the town or people who are moving into the town. And that also goes along with why we chose to do PUD in the first place as well. Having a mix of product types, gives more flexibility for us in terms of how we design it, or if people want to come in here, not everyone is going to want to live on a normal single-family lot, depending on their individual needs. They might want to live in a duplex or a villa lot, or have maintenance-free versus taking care of your own maintenance. So we take all of that into consideration when we do decide how we're going to proceed with the project, how dense it will be, what kind of products we're going to have there, and then the overall layout of that as well. In terms of anything that has to do with the architectural standards, again, we're meeting at least the minimums that are stated in St. John codes and ordinances, as well as things that are more related to recent projects that we've done in terms of any extra requirements. And everything that I outlined at our May 15th meeting as well, that all still applies here. We're still fully committed to all of those improvements. And, we always have lots of different options that any individual homeowner can also select. So there should be a good amount of diversity and quality building materials associated with this development. That's it.
Okay. I'm going to start, because I've been thinking about this since last month when we were here. And we heard a lot of comments, and, the members of the public have come up, spoke pretty passionately about this project, and the density, from my perspective, got me thinking. And, there's a couple things that I've noticed. Number one, I was recently, this week, had occasion to drive through Summerlin, and those lots they're big, right? How big are those lots?
100 foot. That's an R2.
It's an R2. Why can't this space, instead of 300 units, be all R2 houses?
Well, again, we have unique circumstances with this particular piece of land. As was pointed out, there is a significant amount of wetland on here. So in terms of working within those confines, so we obviously have a reduced amount of land that we're able to work with. PUD allows us to still get a good amount of viability out of a given project, while also specifically setting aside and preserving sensitive areas like the legal drain that runs through there, the ditch line, as well as the wetland.
PUD allows you to, but we don't have to, right? That's my point. Like, why in the center of town, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, I live in the Gates, so I drive by there all the time. And, why can't we have, 100 single-family R2 lots in there, in the center of town, with other development that's going to be going in, commercial-wise, down on 231? Again, having taken a month to sit back and reflect on this, I have some concerns about it. Some of the other comments that we heard, and I'm not picking on it, but I'm referencing it because it's another Olthoff development, is Mill Creek. And the people from Mill Creek who were upset about traffic and being able to get in and out of their development, that there's one access point. There's one here. You're going to propose 300 lots where units where everybody's going to try to come out at that one point on Joliet, where I come out every day too, right? So I just have some concerns. Your comments, you said architectural, you're meeting at least the minimum. Can't we do better than just the minimum? We have asked you for that.
We have.
Throughout, so.
I listed off, numerous commitments, again, that we're still fully on board with.
I know. So I'll let everybody else speak. I don't want to filibuster and take all this, but I'm hearing what the people are saying. And it's, that's what our job is. Ultimately, it's town council's call, but I'll let anybody else chime in.
I'm going to jump in for a second here. I also heard the people at the last hearing, and there was not only compassionate, or they were passionate about, they had compassion to understand what was going to happen in their community. And that's something to take a good grip of. The only problem I also have is that the least and the minimum, you said, I kind of took, I even wrote it down. So we want to get away from that kind of mentality. We want to move up.
No, we understand.
Anyone else have thoughts, questions? Comments? With that, our options at this point are, I'll say it right this time, Mr. Decker, that we can make a favorable recommendation to the town council, unfavorable recommendation to the town council, or no recommendation to the town council, with the understanding that it is just that, a recommendation. It's ultimately up to the town council. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to propose a motion to make an unfavorable recommendation to the town council.
I second that.
Please have a motion for unfavorable recommendation for the proposed rezone. Motion by Mr. Emshway, second by Mr. Gomsegel. Any further comments, questions, discussion on the motion?
I have a quick question. Is that referencing the findings of facts for PUD rezone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Need me to clean that up for the record? You got it. We're good? Okay. Motion for unfavorable recommendation with a second, including referencing the findings of fact. Any further questions, comments, discussions on the motion? There being none, all in favor, so indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, public hearing on item B, 2024-07, The Grove, is now closed. Agenda item 6C, 2024-14, Castle Rock, Phase 1A, proposed preliminary plat of Castle Rock, Phase 1A for 5 lots on the north and east side of Manor House Drive, located at Manor House Drive and 85th Place in the existing Castle Rock subdivision, zoned R2. Andy James and Mr. Reddick, good evening.
Good evening, Doug Reddick with DVG. I didn't check, is Andy in the back? He's not here, okay. We are here presenting Castle Rock Phase 1A. These are 5 lots, zoned R2, that kind of wrap around the north end of Manor House Drive. The street was put in as part of Phase 1, so there's no street improvements to put in here. It's really just storm drainage improvements and taps for sewer and water. We knew at the time when we did Phase 1, we had some wetland issues on this property. We've worked through those. We've provided the wetland report to the town, and it's been determined that these are such a low-quality wetland, there's really no mitigation required, and he's able to fill those in. They're small and isolated, and again, low impact wetlands. So we're here tonight for primary plat approval on 5 lots. These are R2 lots. The smallest ones are, they're all over 100 foot wide, or a minimum of 100 foot, 0.4 acres. A couple of them are over 1 acre, so it's kind of an unusual property. So we made the lots extra large where we could. And we already have, of course, people interested in purchasing the lots.
Okay. Mr. Dykstra, I saw your letter come through from the engineering standpoint.
Yeah, we're good.
No issues? Okay. All right, with that, any questions, comments from the panel before we open it up for public comment? There being none? Okay. As with the other ones, we will open public comment for 2024-14 Castle Rock Phase 1A. Come on up, sir. Just need your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Tim Sarkovich. I live at 8626 Manor House Drive, which would be Lot 22 on the form there. And I had left a binder last Friday. I have 4 other copies. Can I give them so you guys can?
I'll just ask how you want to handle this. Do you want to just speak publicly and put this in? Because normally if I have written ones, I read those in. So do you want to talk, or do you want me to read what you have here?
Well, I can read what I have.
Okay.
And then just add a couple things of explanation.
I'm not going to read what's been put in front of me since
No,
you're here.
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. This letter is in response to the legal notice that we're talking about here. My wife Marissa and I, we strongly hope you deny this petition. The addition of Phase 1 is an alarming and disappointing to us and many of our neighbors, as we were led to believe there would be no homes built next to Lot 22. With many lot options available at the time of our purchase, the reasons we purchased Lot 22 was because of the wetlands next to it and the communication with the developer and builder that the parcel of land next to Lot 22 would remain vacant and private. And this was when we were talking to them about purchasing it in late 2018, early 2019. And then please note the following. According to the developer, Andy James, the higher price for a smaller Lot 22 was justified to the privacy and unique feature of the natural habitat view next to our lot. For reference and comparison, we attached a price listing of the Castle Rock lots, which I left with you. And if you look on there, we have one of the smallest lots there, but our lot was anywhere from $10,000 to $13,000 higher than lots that were much larger than ours. Our lot is .35. For instance, there's a .71 lot, 87.5. We paid 98.7. When we asked the reason for that, he said, well, you're getting the view of the wetlands, you'll have a natural habitat, which was very appealing to us, and just the serenity of it and the view and all that out of our backyard is what was very appealing to us. And we based our decision off of that there would be nothing next to us. On April 7th of 2019, we received an email from our builder, Bob Farazan of Pebblebrook, attaching the lot layouts of Castle Rock, which displayed the future development behind our home. And that's in attachment 2. Can you see that, Justin?
Look through it, thanks.
Yeah. This is what they gave us, and it shows wetlands here, like he said. Now, we got concerned with what was behind us, so our discussion was always about what was going on behind us to verify, because we wanted to know if there were any other wetlands right behind us and how close that future lot behind us would be. But again, it was understood there would be nothing next to us. The only possibility was that lot way at the top of the street, which you would see on that drawing where it's, where it's highlighted. And again, this was very appealing to us. Just the fact that we had the privacy we were looking for, and we had understood that the reason our smaller lot was much higher was because of that feature. Further, our builder, who was the preferred builder at Castle Rock at the time, had a close business relationship with the developer. Attachment 3, I show that because it clearly shows that they're working in unison, which the developer denied that they were partners when I had talked to him about it. I don't want to get into my 2 discussions I had with him because I just want to cut to the chase here, but I would be more than willing to discuss that with you gentlemen if I was allowed. Furthermore, our builder sent us an email on August 2nd, 2019, recommending we add a full-length window in the master bedroom, as it is unlikely a home will be built that close or at all on that side of the home. And if you look at attachment 4, that's where Bob sent us that note, and he's referencing page 3, which I have in here, because he was saying, I remember distinctly we were there, and he said, well, the closest anything could ever be to you is way up the street, as we saw before on that. So that other lot would have been only one lot was shown, what we were shown on future development, and that's what we made our decision on. We and many of our neighbors had options to build in other subdivisions. We chose Castle Rock as we were sold and convinced that the land now considered Phase 1A would remain natural and vacant. Our decision to build was solely based on this fact. Evidently, there's a change in conditions, plans, wetlands determinations or whatever to build in Phase 1A. Regrettably, we feel deceived. We feel that this wasn't shared with us at all. All he had to tell us was, you know what, if this ever is allowed, I'm going to build there. If he told us that, we would have never bought our lot. We would have never bought our lot. And now we have a situation here where we feel extremely violated. We're violated because there are other discussions I had with him that I'm not going to share now, but I would certainly be happy to. And in conclusion, adding 5 additional homes to this subdivision will not enhance the aesthetic value it now has. We chose in that subdivision where we chose it on that street all the way to the back because of the quietness, the natural habitat. You drive in there up the street and you see all these trees there. And it's just open. You see deer running. You see all kinds of natural habitat. That was the appealing factor, and that's what we were sold on. We feel that this was really, I mean, for lack of a better term, a bait and switch type of thing. We would have never bought this lot had we known this. And if we were it was shared with us, we would have just gone somewhere else and did it. And in conclusion, it will also have a negative impact on our investment. Maybe, for us, as far as mentally, emotionally, and all that, it's been really an emotional thing to think about. Our investment here is now being infiltrated on something that we were never told that this could happen or might happen. It was, nope, those are wetlands. Our builder told us no reputable builder would build on that anyway. So I don't know what else to say as far as the reasons other than the natural habitat and everything that we thought we were paying for. And our hope is that the Planning Commission continue to hold developers accountable for their words and insist that they conduct their business with the highest level of integrity. We trust that you will hear our voices and deny this petition. And I'm not asking for a favor from the board. I'm asking for the board to look at this with empathy and put yourself in our shoes, in my neighbor's shoes who were told that's going to be natural habitat. And there will be other people that will come up here and tell you that they were told that. We just want you to put yourself in our shoes and think how you would feel about this happening to you when you kind of feel hopeless and helpless because it's like, oh my God, this is not what we were sold. We were not sold this. St. John has a unique setting in a lot of areas. This was it. We were in the preserve looking, but when we saw that we could get a lot by a wetlands and have that privacy and natural habitat, I mean, there's nothing like you get up in the morning, sometimes you see 12 deer running around. I mean, that is like so refreshing, and that's why we bought the lot. So with that, I just ask you guys to deny that and put yourself in our shoes, make your decision based off of what we were told, and now where we're at now, really fighting for unnecessarily, I feel. I mean, it's upsetting that we even have to be here to do this, but this is not what we were sold. It's not. And I would be more than willing to discuss further with that if it's needed. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who would like to come up? Can we just get your name and address for the record?
My name is Kim Michaels, 8585 Manor House Drive. We're lot 23, I believe, there on the drawing. So My biggest thing, going off of what Tim had said too, is, reason why we purchased this lot is we loved the nature that was across the street. We were also told that the lot north of us, could be developed at some point. We were aware of that, but we were told, in front of us, we would not have neighbors. Biggest, thing, too, is the nature of it. That's why we were attracted to that lot. We see wild turkeys out there in the morning. We see the deer. We have snapping turtles that come through our yard. There's foxes that come by. We wanted that spot, for the nature. But the other thing that's so concerning to me is that there's still at least, I think, 6 or 7 lots available in our subdivision, and, the code, what's set by the town, is that the developer is responsible for mowing and maintaining the vacant lots. And, I don't know if any of you have driven through Castle Rock recently, but it is overgrown with weeds. They have not been mowed, at all this season. And, he's not maintaining what's already his and available. Why are we going to give him more responsibility to develop when he can't take care of, what's already under his belt? So, thanks.
Ms. Michaels, I'm sorry, I don't want to let you go. I have a letter up here from Tim. Is that your
Yes.
husband?
Yes.
Okay. Since you're here to speak, do you want me to read his letter in to the record, or?
Yeah, that's fine. You can.
Okay. Anyone else, members of the public, who would like to come up and speak?
Good evening. My name is Nicoletta Kokoski. My address is 8619 Manor House Drive. So 3 years ago, my husband and I were searching for an area to build our home. We actually had to upgrade and upsize everything because found out we were pregnant with triplets. So Bob, we happened to stumble across Castle Rock one day, and we drove in the neighborhood, and we absolutely fell in love simply because of the nature and the woods and the hills, and everything just was beautifully laid out. We had visited other areas, but that area just won us over entirely. And so Bob was our builder, and we specifically chose our lot because that end of the street is quiet, nature, deers running around. And we asked Bob, we said, is there going to be, are there options to build across the street? And he said, absolutely not. It's all wetlands. There wouldn't be any houses. No houses will be built over there. So you can't even think about a lot over there. And we were fine with that. We chose our lot, and we love it. About 2 summers ago, I had a conversation with Andy, and he shared with me when he was a child, he would run through those wetlands and go ATVing and with his friends, and he loved the fact that he could do that. And he said for that reason, he wants to preserve that area so that other kids could do the same thing that he did when he was a child. He also said that, in fact, he actually left 2 trees in our backyard. I think we're the only ones that have 2 big trees in our backyard, and he's like, I left them there because I like nature. I like trees. I want to preserve that as much as possible. So, when I think about wetlands, how is that safe? I know I wouldn't want to purchase property on wetlands, knowing that there are wetlands and they exist, and that's the reputation that entire section has. I know I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't purchase it. Once Bob told me that entire section was wetlands, immediately I backed off, obviously, because there was no option to build in the first place. So it's hard to believe that someone who, what is this really about, is what it comes down to. What is this about? If you could build on top of a house, would you build it for the right price? What are we talking here? This is wetlands. How is that safe for people? And I don't care if you can fill it with concrete. The majority of that area is all clay. What are you going to fill it with? More clay? How is that going to be safe? I would like to know what their plan is to make it safe, to build homes on top of these, on these lots. Do we have that? Do we have a plan to at least reassure us that it's safe? Do we have anything like that? Has anything been given to us? To all of us in that area in Castle Rock? I haven't seen anything. So how is it safe to move forward with this plan? You know, I mean, in that entire section, it's beautiful. Let's try. I mean, they've already knocked down beautiful nature to build other homes, which is fine. Beautiful. We live in a beautiful area. But why knock down more nature? Preserve it. Leave it. I see kids running through there all the time, going ATVing. I mean, it's something for these kids to do. It's innocent. It's innocent fun. Like, leave it alone, you know? And again, just like many of our neighbors, we purchased the lot simply because it was quiet and because the nature and the natural habitat. And now that's all going to be violated. We're hearing that no longer will exist. So please consider, I know you're all humans, right? And put yourself in our shoes and consider what we're all here to tell you. And hopefully you reconsider. Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to come up?
Hi, I'm Joanne Carlin. I live at 8739 Manor House Drive. I'm not directly in the area where this is coming from, but I want you to be aware of the number of neighbors that are supporting us, or supporting them in this decision, or in this fight, because they all care about that area and the natural habitat that is there. And it's not just the ones that are sitting right there across the street from these 5 lots. It's the entire subdivision that is concerned about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? With that, I have 2 additional written submissions to read into the record. The first is from Tim Michaels, 8585 Manor House Drive. The letter is as follows. Hello, my name is Tim Michaels, and my family and I live at 8585 Manor House Drive, Castle Rock subdivision here in St. John. We are fortunate to live in a great community like St. John and are proud of the home we have established here. We are also happy and thankful to have friendly neighbors who, along with the town itself, help create a family-friendly and supportive community. The news of more construction directly across from our home is frustrating, aggravating, and concerning to us and our neighbors for a few reasons. We strongly encourage you to consider our opposition to this further development. First, more development in our area means more construction and public traffic. We understand that residential and urban development is a necessity in certain areas, but we have significant safety and noise concerns. Many families in Castle Rock have young children who enjoy outdoor activities like riding bicycles. Various adult residents have already addressed traffic concerns with the town, like adding stop signs and streetlights to address vehicle traffic issues. More vehicle traffic in our neighborhood increases the likelihood for a car crash and safety risk to children and pedestrians. Also, construction noise, especially directly across the street, is very frustrating for families. The noise and commotion from excavators, dump trucks, and heavy machinery needed for construction impacts and disturbs children's sleep, affects adults working from home, and impacts beloved pets, especially dogs' quality of life. Second, we believe that the preservation of the forested areas and wetlands can be very beneficial. According to a 2022 Northwest Indiana Times article, St. John was ranked among one of the fastest growing places in Indiana in 2021. That is a great achievement for the town, but how many natural habitat areas were destroyed in the process? Our hope is to preserve some of these special areas while we still can. The wooded area in our neighborhood is beautiful to admire, and the various animals that call it home are a welcome sight. We have enjoyed seeing deer, foxes, coyotes, beavers, turtles, turkeys, hawks, and even bald eagles. These animals are not just important to our local ecosystem, but they add a unique and beautiful touch to our neighborhood. Preservation and respect of the natural habitats like this one can also help teach an important lesson to our children that is easily forgotten in modern culture. Finally, the Castle Rock developer, Andy James, not only lied to us but to other neighbors. When we purchased Lot 23, Andy informed us in multiple discussions that the land directly across the street from us would not be developed into houses. We were also told the area was a protected wetland, which drew our attention to Lot 23 even more. This information was a major factor in our decision to purchase the land and ultimately build our home on it. If Andy was truthful with us, we would not have made that purchase. As homeowners, we find it deeply concerning that now development and construction could be happening across from our home. We find it even more troubling and frustrating that Andy lied to and deceived other neighbors, since they also purchased and built homes on lots in our neighborhood. Further, a land developer who lied to multiple residents already would be greatly concerning to me if I was a prospective buyer in St. John. During this process, you will likely hear from other Castle Rock residents. Like I previously mentioned, we are fortunate enough to live in a supportive and caring neighborhood. I encourage you to listen to their stories, frustrations, and concerns regarding this proposed development. I encourage you to understand the situation from our perspective, and as it is advertised on the town website, help respect our quiet neighborhoods. Ultimately, I want to thank you for your time and consideration. I can be reached by phone or email, and am happy to talk with the members. Sincerely, Tim Michaels. We have another written submission from Barbara DeCola Sizzler. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, 8642 Manor House Drive. Dear Justin Nestor and the Plan Commission of the Town of St. John, Lake County, Indiana, I am writing to express my strong opposition to the Town of St. John PC 2024-14 Castle Rock Phase 1A, the proposed development and building at northwest end of Manor House Drive in the Castle Rock subdivision. The area in question has the potential to become saturated with water during heavy rainfalls, destroy local wildlife in the area. Nearly all residents around the area are completely opposed to the development of the additional 5 lots. Without knowing what type of homes would be developed with the 5 lots, property values could go down. I urge you to disapprove the proposed development. Thank you for reading my letter. Best regards, Barbara. With that, are there any other members of the public who would like to come up and speak for or against? Public comment called number 2. And this is the third and final call for any public comment. With that, public comment on 2024-14 Castle Rock Phase 1A is now closed. Mr. Reddick.
Thank you. Andy is not here, and I can't speak for Andy or the builder. I think they're referring to Bob from Pebblebrook Homes. What I can tell you is I've been involved with this project since the beginning. We did the original subdivision design, and Andy owns probably 30 or 40 acres. This is just a very small part of what he owns. We've always had plans to develop more of this property. I have drawings that show lots in this area. We were undetermined at the time as to how many lots we would get, 2 or 3. We even put storm sewer and sanitary sewer stubs to this area in case we were able to get additional lots in there. A lot of it was hinging on wetlands. The wetland areas are there. They were delineated probably last year. We've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers, who did not claim jurisdiction over these wetlands. So then they fall under the jurisdiction of IDEM, Indiana Department of Environmental Management, who does a classification process, and then they determine, what class these are. And then there's different ways to work around the wetlands. And we went into this knowing that it may cost some money. Wetlands are buildable if you want to go through the headaches. And we've been going through the headaches. In this case, they came back pretty favorable because they're such low-quality wetlands. So as far as the wetlands, they've been there. We've worked through it. Once we found out that the impacts will be minimal, Andy said, let's lay out how many lots we can get in there. So we feel we can get 5 lots. They all meet your town minimums. Actually, they exceed your town minimums as far as lot width and lot area. So as far as building on the wetlands, these are just low areas that are depressional. Any soil that's in the way of a home will be excavated as part of putting in a basement. So it's not like there's going to be sinking foundations. You scrape off the low-lying soft topsoil dirt as you're digging for a foundation for a basement, and you're back down on good ground. So there's really, in my opinion, no major concern at all about stability of the homes or anything like that. Fill will need to be brought in to, grade around some of the houses. The backyards, these are large lots, so the backyard's going to be left alone. There's still a pipeline, you can kind of see that runs at a diagonal behind these lots. That will be left undeveloped. There's more land to the north and west of that will be left undeveloped. We all know about the street stub just south of this, and we know there'll be a street there someday. And it's a very challenging property to develop, as to working with the topography that's there. So yes, he owns more land. Yes, there's more to come, what we're calling phase 3. We're still trying to work that out. We presented some concept plans to this board some time ago. But tonight, we're here for these 5 lots. And it's, again, I can't speak for what Andy told anybody because I wasn't involved with that. I do know that I have drawings that show probably as many as 4 or 5 lots in this area from some time ago. But we didn't put them on the original plans because Andy didn't want to deal with the wetlands at that time because it takes a long process to get through. Well, and here we are, so.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the panel?
Yeah, actually, it's, these 5 lots, I understand they're in the wetlands areas, I get all that. I understand you have stubs, you have services ran to these, I get all that. What I don't like and I don't agree with is if these residents were sold stating this is going to maintain open, I think Andy James should attend the public hearing and advise the board himself on what was actually, if there's anything in writing that what they were sold. If there isn't, I'd feel more comfortable voting on something like this if I heard directly from Mr. James, but I don't know, I just don't like it.
I struggle with that. I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I agree with your saying that there were drawings, and drawings to me indicate planned development, and then squaring that with promises that were made to homeowners makes me very uncomfortable. And I agree that I would prefer to have Mr. James here to respond to these questions himself, because as you've said, you can't speak for him or for the agreements that were made.
And I will say this, I talked to him earlier today, we had a conversation. Are you going to be there tonight, Andy? He says, yep, I'll be there, and I don't know what happened. He was planning on being here.
Well.
So.
And I also understand he has 30, 40 more acres, and there is going to be more development in that area. I've heard that since he bought or had this property, and it's going to be a large development. And if he has 30 or 40 more acres, then maybe there's other options here as well.
I agree with that. I mean, your comment, Doug, was that it's a difficult area to develop. So I don't know if we're trying to put a square peg in a round hole here, right? For all these reasons, it seems like a challenge, so.
Mr. Chair, any representations made by the developer to the citizens is not relevant to the decision that needs to be made by the Plan Commission on this application. If they have claims against the developer for whatever legal claim they might have, they can pursue that in a court of law. The job of the Plan Commission tonight in considering the application is to determine whether or not the proposed subdivision meets the requirements of our subdivision control ordinance. This is unlike other decisions that were made tonight regarding zone changes or, where there's some additional considerations that are made. But when it comes to primary plat approval for a subdivision, the sole task of the Plan Commission is to determine whether or not the proposal and the proposed subdivision meets the minimum standards contained in our subdivision control ordinance. And if the Plan Commission finds that it does, then legally it's required to approve the subdivision. It's considered under Indiana law to be a ministerial act as opposed to a discretionary act. So I simply want to remind the Plan Commission of that legal standard in considering the application.
You know, I'm glad you brought it up, but when there's an integrity issue that we're caught in the middle in this case, where we're hearing from the general public or the citizens that live in that area, and there was integrity, they were sold by the fact that, yeah, we're going to have an open area, and and I thought about that. It has to have they have a legal option to go outside this walls and go to court for that because they were lied to, whatever happens. But when we start to look at individuals that develop in St. John, we have the word of integrity to sit on.
I'm going to disagree with you, sir. There's no such standard in our subdivision control ordinance. Indiana law is fairly clear that when a proposed application for primary plat comes before the Plan Commission, the sole task of the Plan Commission is to determine whether or not the proposal as submitted meets the minimum standards set forth in the subdivision control ordinance. So integrity is not part of the equation.
And I agree with you, okay, but partly on approving some of these, especially this one, which is unique, you have wetlands in there that, based on IDEM or the Corps of Engineers, they gave them the minimum, but this is an issue that we're having across the board in all of St. John, where there are a lot of wetlands that we as in the planning have to look at as what is it doing to our community as a whole. So is that something to?
No, I disagree with you, sir. I respectfully disagree.
No, this is part of the
concern of the
dialogue.
Plan Commission of the wetlands of the community as a whole is not relevant to the task before the Plan Commission tonight in reviewing this particular application. Certainly, the wetlands related to this property could be considered, but again, it's a fairly straightforward task that's before the Plan Commission. Does the application meet the minimum standards set forth in the subdivision control ordinance? And if it does, then under Indiana law, the Plan Commission is required to approve it.
And failure to do so could probably create legal liability for this commission as well.
It's potentially, yes. The review process for a denial of a plat of subdivision is essentially review in a court of law. But the cases in Indiana are very clear on what the standard is. And that standard, as I've recited earlier, is we have a subdivision control ordinance, and if it meets those standards, then Plan Commission's job is essentially done. It's required to approve that. It's a ministerial act as opposed to a discretionary.
So then, I was looking at the wetlands, it meets the minimum requirements.
As long as the developer follows what IDEM says to
Do
do.
we have any records, I'm sorry, sir, do we have any records to show that they presented this to the IDEM?
Yeah.
Or
John
Yes, sir.
does.
Mr. President, I can speak to that because I reviewed the materials that were submitted from the applicant or their engineer. They had a fully prepared by a well-known wetland consultant, did the delineation. They had their letter from the Corps of Engineers stating that these wetlands, and I'll just refer to the ones on these lots, 6 and 7, they were considered isolated wetlands, which means the Army Corps does not take jurisdiction. And then that would fall, as Doug had said, to IDEM. The state of Indiana then looks at that, and they have a classification method of 1, 2, and 3, 1 being the scrubbiest wetland. They rank these as 1, which means there's no permitting requirement for them, and there's no restrictions on them, meaning they can be filled, they can be built on, they can be left alone. It's up to the landowner. So that's the state and the federal. The St. John Code has no other requirements beyond deferring to those two agencies because we have no additional wetland ordinances or code items. So there's nothing to point to say you have to maintain those. They're not required to. So that's my opinion. And that's why I wrote my letter and indicated a satisfactory recommendation. They met the code, the town code.
That's what I was looking, but to continue the dialogue here, in order to satisfy, well, I should just step out of that. If it becomes too technical, then we'll be, that's all. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any further questions, comments from the commission? There being none at this point, then the chair would entertain a motion to approve or deny the proposed preliminary plat of Castle Rock Phase 1A, 2014-14.
I'm sorry, can I make a comment?
Public, I gave everybody,
Where is he? Can't he address us?
ma'am, I gave everybody 3 chances for public comment. I understand we will have time for public comment at the end of the meeting, but I can't go back on that at this point. We're trying to entertain a motion.
So it would be 2 favorable, unfavorable, or
Approve or deny, right?
just 2, approve or denied?
Well, the matter could be deferred as a third option, but no, yes, it's either an up or, down vote. And it requires 4 votes of the 7 members.
Mr. President, and just to jump in, if Joe would like some more time to review, maybe we can keep the public hearing open as opposed to either approving or denying without him being able to look over everything that was submitted.
That's what
I think that's also another option.
I like to do
Well,
that.
so I think there would have to be a motion to do that. The public hearing was closed. Typically, public hearings are held open when the applicant is going to be submitting revised plans to be reviewed by the members of the Plan Commission and the public. I don't believe there's going to be submission of any revision of plans. But the Plan Commission certainly can take an affirmative vote to set this matter for hearing. The rules specifically allow the Plan Commission to set hearings in its discretion, so it can take that action.
I believe that for the best interest of the community, just to defer so I could see some of the more stuff, so we could defer to the next meeting. And perhaps the developer, because he's the owner, he's the one that sets, well, he could be here to at least make the public understand what has happened to them, okay? Is that okay to defer it?
I'm just looking for a motion. It's either to approve, deny. I think on the advice of the commission attorney, that a motion to defer would be appropriate as well.
I move to defer it.
Motion to defer by Mr. Gomestagel. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Emschway. Any further comments, discussions? If not, all in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
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 I'm a nay on that, so I think we're 5-1, or 4-1.
Motion passes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And with that, there's no more public hearings on the agenda for tonight. Item 7, old and new business, 2024-08 to preserve Phase 7, acceptance of 2-year maintenance bond in the amount of $111,589.50. Part of the 29 single-family lots and 2 outlots at White Oak Avenue zoned RC1 PUD, approximately 15.75 acres of the preserve Schilling development.
Kevin Hunt on behalf of Schilling Development, representing the owner of Preserve SJ. I was previously up at the study session. There were no issues or comments. I think letter from the engineer is in hand. If there's any questions, I can answer those.
No issues?
No issues.
Okay.
Everything is in order for this one, and the town has received the bond.
Okay. I think we need a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2-year maintenance bonds in the amount of $111,589.50.
Second.
Motion to accept it by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Valoy. Any further comments, discussions on the motion? There being none, all in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That's a 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, 2024-13 Community Foundation Edition, proposed site plan amendment to add 36 parking spaces to the northeast corner of the existing parking lot at 9660 US Route 41, St. John, Indiana. Munster Medical Research Foundation is the owner.
Good evening. My name is Brian Sluter. I'm the construction manager for Community Hospital. So we are looking to receive approval of expanding the north parking lot of the St. John Outpatient Center. We're looking to add 33 parking spaces. The plans have been submitted and reviewed by the town engineer. We've received his review and approval of them. We also attended the May and June study session and didn't receive very many comments, and so we were just looking for final approval to move forward with the parking lot expansion.
Okay. Two things really quick. I said at the study session, I now represent community healthcare in an unrelated matter, so I will be abstaining from any official action on this, but with that, I will open it. Mr. Dykstra, do we have any concerns from your standpoint?
Yeah, there were no further issues, no.
Okay. Questions, comments from the panel? With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed site plan amendment for 2024-13 Community Foundation Edition.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Valoy, is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Gill. Any further comments, discussions on the motion? There being none, all in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And I abstain, so I think it's 4-0, technically.
401.
401.
401.
Just as long as I'm not in the first part, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item C, 2024-15 Scooters Coffee, proposed primary plat for a one-lot subdivision and site plan of Scooters Coffee located at 8455 Wicker Avenue, St. John, Indiana, Zone C2 and US 41 Overlay District. Gert and Grind LLC applicant, and Mr. Huss, DBG.
Good evening. We are here to request for our public hearing for this primary plat to be held next month in July. This primary plat is largely administrative. The townhomes that went into the eastern rear of this property, when they developed, they purchased a little over 200 feet of the rear of what was a properly platted lot. So this plat is largely just cleanup to adhere to the town's ordinances. The plat has been reviewed, comments are being addressed. We also have an accompanying site development application that we are wrapping up addressing engineers' comments. So our intent is if we can hold the public hearing in July, we intend to come for hopefully secondary and site development approval in August, so this development can get underway. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
You've already cleared all the BZA hurdles, I believe?
Correct. Yeah,
Questions?
this is, obviously, it's been through BZA, it has its variances from them, and I know we've brought this for study session before this commission, both to discuss the site and the building in the past.
Questions, comments? Okay.
Yeah,
we need a motion for them.
Mr. Chair, I think, I would recommend there be a vote to approve the request to advertise. I think we make a record of that. It would be
Fair enough, okay. I will entertain a motion to allow them to advertise for hearing on the July 17th,
So moved.
2024.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Gill, is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Gonstagel. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, 5-0, we'll see you back. On 17th. Item D, 2024-17 Meadow Wall, proposed primary plat for a 4-lot subdivision and site plan for a memory care facility at 9117 Patterson Street, St. John, Indiana, zoned C2 and US 41 Overlay District, Meadow Wall Street LLC.
Kevin Hunt, Schilling Development, 8900 Wicker Avenue in St. John, representing the owners of the property at the northwest corner of US 41 and Wall Street. James Huss from DVG team is here with me tonight. We're here to present a proposed four-lot subdivision as an informal study session, but more importantly, to seek approval to publish for that July 17th public hearing. It's roughly a 10-acre parcel that's been in the Schilling family for many years, and they're excited to move it forward towards development. We have had town staff level meetings, town manager, fire, police, building, public works, and water. Previously, we received variances from the BZA for the overall subdivision site, as well as the proposed senior housing project that'll sit on Lot 1 of the subdivision. And most recently, the town council granted the owners a variance for the detached garage and a use variance to operate the senior housing in the U.S. Overlay District. This will be a four-lot subdivision. Lot 1 is a 6.39-acre site that will be the location of the senior housing project. It would have a Wicker Avenue address and access via private drive off Wall Street. Lots 2, 3, and 4 would be reserved for future development. Lots 2 and 3 would have a Wicker Avenue address and have access off Wall Street via that same shared drive. And Lot 4 would have a Wall Street address and have access off that drive. I'm sure James could go into details on the plat layout if you had specific questions. And I believe DVG and Robinson will end up coordinating on engineering and platting as we get those for the next study session. So we would probably be back on the July 3rd study session before the public hearing. So tonight, we are seeking that, just the approval to publish, and we'll be back in front of you on at least one more study session. But both James and I are available to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone, questions, comments?
I have one. I understand. I know this is just for the public hearing, but I did not catch that water main dead ending on the north building there. I'd like to see that looped around, all the way around.
That's certainly a possibility. We're obviously not very far away from the main on 41. I guess the question, bringing it to the south of Lot 1, which is what we currently have it proposed to get all the way to US 41 is what we have now. That does make it easier to serve from an easement perspective, lots 2, 3, and 4. But would you prefer that we make two connections?
No, I would just connect it, loop it around, continuous loop.
Continuous, down the east side of the property.
Yeah, I missed.
That is something we can easily revise for the purposes of the plat. We do already have an easement on that side, so that may very well not even change the plat you have before you. But we will verify that and make sure that happens before next month.
What's the difference between connecting it and just looping it around without connection? Is there a difference there?
Yeah, there's no need for, they don't have to tie that into that old 12-inch. I want them on the new one.
Oh, okay, all right, I didn't know that.
Anyone else, questions, comments?
It's under review.
Thank you.
And if I could just provide a little bit more background as far as the schedule going forward, the hopeful schedule going forward, similar to the project that was just presented. Hopefully we can go for primary plat next month with potentially secondary and site development the month following. I know that is some work for the engineer, but we do intend on similarly advance submitting the Lot 1 plan. So Engineer Dykstra, you'll be receiving that from us shortly as well to hopefully keep things moving smoothly.
Okay. Is there a motion to allow them to advertise for the July 17th?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Vloy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gill. Any further comments, discussions? All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0.
Thank you.
We'll see you back for the next study session. Item E, 2024-18 Rose Garden, proposed primary plat for a two-lot subdivision for the Rose Garden Addition Phase 3, Block 3, located at the east side of Willow Lane, south of 91st Place, zoned RC2 PUD, single-family residential conservation plan unit development. Sublime Development is the applicant. Mr. Reddick?
Good evening, Doug Reddick with DVG. Similar to the last two items on the agenda, we're seeking permission to advertise for a public hearing for the July meeting. This is a simple two-lot subdivision which will complete the south end of Rose Garden. This is Phase 3, Block 3, where we will be terminating Willow Lane in a standard cul-de-sac, and then creating the last two lots on that street. Earlier this year, we platted 3 lots, which were Phase 3, Block 2, because again, Willow Lane was already constructed to the north edge of this portion of the project. So now we had to modify our original approval just a little bit to add this cul-de-sac, which we're making it to standard town requirements. These lots meet the requirements for this zone, so it's pretty straightforward, and I'd like to seek permission to advertise.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Any engineering hurdles?
It's under review.
You should have a stamp that says that.
He probably does.
I probably do.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to allow them to advertise for the July 17th, 2024 public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vloy, second by Mr. Gomsego. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item F, 2023-06, Streamside, request to reduce the performance surety bond to $28,028.
Good evening again. Kevin Pasco of Olthoff Homes, 8051 Wicker Avenue, St. John, Indiana. Here to seek approval for a reduction on our performance surety bond for Streamside. John issued his recommendation letter on June 6th for a reduction in the bond to $28,028. The only remaining item is a very small amount of public sidewalk installation that will take place following installation of part of our walking trails. That should take place relatively soon, and then we'd expect to be back within the next few months to convert everything into a maintenance bond.
Questions, comments?
Everything's been addressed, John?
Yes. And I know you had the email, and I believe Jeff was attending to that.
Yep.
And it would fall under this remaining portion anyway.
Sorry, Justin, I didn't mean to ask your question.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Appreciate the support. And with that, I would entertain a motion to reduce the performance surety bond to $28,028 for Streamside.
I'll make a motion to reduce the Streamside performance surety bond to $28,028.
Motion by Mr. Gills, our second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vloy. Any further comments, discussions on the motion? All those in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0 on that one as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item G, 2024-19 floodplain ordinance amendment. Request to advertise for an amendment to the floodplain ordinance.
So we are needing to update our floodplain ordinance in accordance with some changes that FEMA has made to the floodplain regulations. Part of that is required training for our floodplain administrator that has already been undertaken. But as part of it, we do require an update to our floodplain ordinance. This has been worked on with Attorney Decker here, and it is in its ready form. I'm just needing the Plan Commission's permission to advertise it. We'll discuss it further at our July 3rd work session with the public hearing at the July 17th meeting.
Okay. Questions, comments? Anyone want to make a motion to add one more thing for the July 17th?
So moved.
Motion to advertise by Mr. Vloy. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Emsway. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is a 5-0 as well. That is all the old and new business. Item number 8, public comment. Any members of the public who would still like to come up?
Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane, St. John. I just want to say how disappointed I was in this committee last month. You held a public hearing for the property at the northwest corner of White Oak Avenue and 109th Street. LBL Incorporated was requesting zoning change from R1 to RC2 with the allowance to build 116 units. He presented no plan for what he wants to do. An RC2 for 40 acres would only allow 70 units. So I guess, why would this developer be allowed to build 116 units? Is he something special? Again, at the hearing, you had a number of residents there objecting to the density, objecting to small lots. You chose to not make a recommendation. I mean, to me, it's straightforward. You got a developer here wanting 46 more units of what the ordinance would allow, and you guys can't make a decision? Same night, you had another public hearing on the south side of 231 between Parish Avenue and Park Place. Again, LBL Incorporated wanted to take prime commercial property and use it for high-density townhome development. Your comprehensive plan shows that property as commercial. You got a commercial TIF district in that area. You had numerous neighbors objecting to the rezoning, telling you, we don't want those high-density townhomes. I mean, even the subdivision next door had their HOA there saying, our entire subdivision doesn't want it. And yet, you guys are saying, well, I guess this town doesn't need commercial, we want the high-density townhomes. I mean, at what point are you really going to start listening to the residents and saying, we don't want high-density townhomes, we don't want all these duplexes, we don't want all these 60-foot wide single-family lots. The only one that wants them are the developers. And yet, you guys, I guess, are allowing them to do it. And I hope you start listening to the residents instead of the developers that are making, I guess, you guys don't want to make a decision because you might hurt the town council's feelings because Mr. Lawton made huge financial contributions to their election campaign. So, again, I think it's time to listen to the residents and not the developers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Tim Cerkovich, 8626 Manor House Drive on the Castle Rock thing. Will the next meeting be addressing the issue then today that was, that?
The motion was to defer a decision on it, so I assume that that'll be back on the July 17th agenda for public hearings.
On the 17th? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Mr. Chair, I don't believe there was any motion made to put that back onto public hearing. Public hearing was closed, and there was no affirmative motion.
I stand corrected.
It will be an agenda item.
It
will be under old business, I believe.
Old business. It would still be on the agenda then, just not the public hearing. I missed.
But it will be in the next meeting though, right?
Yes.
And then my question is, you know, you mentioned laws in the state of Indiana and everything, and I'm just curious, aren't there laws for misrepresentation? You know, how you have to divulge for, you're selling cars, you got to say if it was in a car accident. You're selling your house, you have to say if you had water in your basement or whatever. Are there not laws for a developer or a builder to fully disclose when asked what their future plans would be? And also, isn't that count inviting the document that I got that showed me any future development, and there was nothing on that stretch, even though clearly from the gentleman from DVG was saying they knew they had future development in mind, but it was never divulged to us. Are there not laws that protect, I mean...
Sir, I'm not just giving legal advice.
Okay.
You can make comments.
Well, yeah, all right, well, I'm just throwing it out there because that just struck me when he was up here and he mentioned that they knew all along that they were going to develop that, and all of us asked, and we got answers, and we got documents showing future development. So this goes down to old-fashioned ethics and accountability and just honesty, and that's what I would expect when somebody's doing business in the town. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? And with that, item 9 is adjournment. Would entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Gill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.